Affordability and hi-fi don't always go hand in hand, but the folk at ddHi-Fi and Headphone Zone might just have the perfect portable DAC for you. Thank you to Headphone Zone for making this review possible by sending me this demo unit. All thoughts and opinions are my own. So let's go ahead and see how this is built. The unboxing of this little DAC amp is fairly straightforward and to the point. You'll see both the Headphone Zone and ddHi-Fi branding on the box thanks to them collaborating for this product. And the underside of this box does have most of the information printed on it. Upon opening the box, you'll be greeted with the DAC and a very well finished USB-C to USB-A adapter should you need it. The DAC itself has a terrific overall finish to it. The cable is an OFC and it's protected with a robust plastic covering, so this isn't going to break easily unless you intend on destroying it. The cable is mounted toward each termination with what looks like a little extra bit of security with a harder plastic enclosure, which you can see between the cable and metal coverings on either end. Build wise, this is certainly going to hold up very well in the long run. One side of this DAC is terminated to a 3.5mm auxiliary output for most IEMs, earphones and headphones, and the other end is terminated to a USB-C port. On the USB-C side, you'll see a very tastefully printed ddHi-Fi brand name, and if you flip it over, you'll also see the Headphone Zone branding thanks to this being a part of their collaboration. And speaking about Headphone Zone's collaboration with ddHi-Fi, they've also made these really neat carry cases for your IEMs and DACs. It's a high quality hard shell with a fabric layered case and has a very smooth functioning zip. You can see the ddHi-Fi branding on one side as well as the Headphone Zone branding on the other side. The inside has a soft fabric, so make sure your prized possessions don't get scratched or damaged. It's compact, sturdy and perfect to help protect your gear when on the move, or if you just want to store your IEMs and DACs. When it comes to storing my IEMs, I prefer using this case than the Truth Ear Hola case for two reasons. One, the Hola case is soft and the IEMs could get crushed in certain settings, and two is the wear tension opening on the Hola case isn't always the quickest or most seamless access to the IEMs. This case is the perfect utility one with the zip working quickly for easy access and storage. Coming back to the DAC, these two sides have a metal enclosure and have great grip since they've got knurled rings around them, which is usually something you only see in much more premium hardware. Quite obviously, this does not have anything wireless going on with it, but it does make up for it with all the high-res capabilities it does have. Something that this does have that a lot of portable DAC amps have missed the opportunity of putting in, most of them, is the fact that it can pass through a microphone. So a few DAC amps that I've tested, in fact, if ever you're hooked up to it via a set of IEMs that has a mic, your voice will not pass through. And I more than me missing it, I found a lot of gamers in the audiophile community do tend to miss this, because usually in that kind of situation, the gamers or your buddies or pals you're playing with can't hear you very clearly, since the microphone that takes over is the internal mic in your device and not having a microphone close to you, because there is no pass through in most of those DAC amps. So this model in particular does have that pass through, which is a very nice feature to have, since you will be able to not only play your games and talk to the people you're gaming with, but you can also take calls with it, which makes things a lot easier instead of holding your phone up to your mouth whenever you do get a call. So if you do want to see how this would work or sound, here's a quick demo to show you how it would function. So this is a quick video recording from my phone. So you will be hearing audio from my phone's microphone. So of course this little DAC amp is not plugged in right now. So obviously if I tap on this mic, you're not going to hear anything. But I will tap on the microphones on the phone. So you should have gotten a left and right channel input from the phone in particular right now. So that's pretty much how most DACs will handle the sound carried over to your gaming friends or your recipients if a DAC doesn't have a pass-through. Now since this does have a pass-through, it should carry on over the Truth Ear Hola microphone through this fairly well. So I will plug this in now so you can hear that pass-through, and I've plugged it in now, so it should hand over. In fact, I've just said recording audio through headset has just popped up on my screen, so I know for a fact that it's handling this mic. So I'll tap on the mics on the phone right now, and I presume you won't hear them, and you can hear the tapping here. So of course this will make a difference whether it's closer to your mouth or further away, and of course this is pretty much how your tonal quality will carry over. A big factor will be on the mic quality of the IEMs that you are using, so it's worthwhile keeping that in mind. But the fact that this has a pass-through, I think, is absolutely terrific. A lot of people are going to be really happy about this, so I do hope that this is giving you a better understanding about this little DAC. This is fully capable of handling 384 kHz by 32-bit decoding, which I honestly expected only slightly more higher-end DAC amps to handle, but the fact that this can do it is very impressive. So whether you listen to FLAC stored on your device, or even if you're consuming some streaming via Apple Music, this will handle it more than well enough. This does have a pretty good amp chip in it as well, which can push out 65 milliwatts at 32 ohms. So I'd say this should get you covered for all your IEMs or earphones and your headphones as well if they have an impedance of up to 80 ohms. Anything more than that, I wouldn't recommend using this. On a volume front, I found myself listening to this at about 35% volume. A little louder than that can get a little too loud for me, so I wouldn't recommend listening to anything that loud. Now, I have plugged it into my Samsung phone, so that is the output that this does have with it. With the iPad that I connected it to, it does need a little more juice for sure. But I found that with while listening to the Truth Ear Hola and the SimGot EM6L, I'm hovering around the 35% volume output. But I did plug in the SimGot EA1000 into this, and I found myself having to come down to about 25% volume because 35% was just too high. It's obviously because those are much easier to drive with a slightly lower resistance. When it comes to its soundstage and imaging, it will perform as well as most of your IEMs can. Now, it is not overly analytical, which I do like, because some DACs and amps that get overly critical tend to make you focus more on exactly what's going on in the music. Every single detail becomes very important. So it's not like that with this. It is a little softer on the overall details. It does let you focus in on certain nuances if you do want to do that, but it is not overly critical or analytical so that you have to focus on everything that's there. So I do like this overall approach towards its tuning. Like I mentioned, I have paired this with the Truth Ear Holas as well as the SimGot EM6L and EA1000, and what's really impressive about this little DAC amp is that whether you're listening to a set of IEMs that cost 2,000 or 20,000 rupees, this is no slouch when it comes to its overall detail. And of course, the Hola is defined as much as it is. And in fact, when I listened to the Hola, it did seem as if the Hola did have a certain bottleneck to its drivers when it came to details. So I was expecting the same amount of bottlenecking when it came to the EA1000, but the EA1000 did perform very well. It does carry enough and more detail even with a set of IEMs that cost as much as they do. Something that I wouldn't do with this is pair this to a set of headphones that have a very high impedance. So I do have a set of Bear Dynamics that are 250 ohms. Now, plugging into those just makes it sound like it's a set of glorified tweeters, because it's just the highs and the mid-range that tend to squawk a lot because it doesn't have the power it needs. You do need a lot more power for a resistance like that. So I wouldn't recommend picking this up if you have high impedance headphones in particular. This is better suited for IEMs that are very easy to drive. The ones that I've tested are, I think, 32 ohms and down low as 16 ohms for the EA1000. So it's comfortable in its skin when it comes to driving IEMs with that kind of resistance. While listening to this DAC amp with these IEMs that I've mentioned, most of the time it does sound full. It is energetic, it is fun to listen to, it is well detailed, it is well rounded enough. But there are times when it might seem as if it's mid-range enthusiastic or slightly more treble happy and mid-range happy than it is bass happy. That is because it will roll off at the lower volumes. The amp in it can only boost, I'd say, past 15%, because down low at 5% and 10% volume, the bass is bound to thin out. It is expected. So if you really do want to enjoy this amp DAC, I'd say sit at around 25 to 35%. 40% is also fine, like I tried on my iPad, but like I said, above that doesn't make any sense if you do want to preserve your ears in the long run. But don't judge it based on what it does at minus 10%, because all audio hardware, most equipment at lower volumes isn't able to push out a rounded signal. It's usually the very high-end stuff or the very well-made stuff that really has been put together with a lot of high-end resources that is able to give you a rounded sound even as low as 5 and 10%. So I think this is perfectly fine, because even down low at 10% or 15%, it is soft enough to be able to wind down at the end of the day and enjoy music if you don't want to sit at 25 to 35%, which is the fun zone area. So to sum up, overall on a build front, this thing is fantastically put together. In fact, the fact that it's got those knurled edges around the terminations is terrific. It feels very premium. It looks very premium. It's not just the knurled edges, it's also the way the cable has been protected. And I have reviewed another DAC amp that is more expensive than this, and after handling this, that does feel like it might give away, at the joints. This is properly, solidly put together. On a feature front, there's not much to talk about, but what it does have is a microphone pass-through, which I'd say is a nice welcome. And one thing to keep in mind is it will only pass through your microphone if your IEM has it, for one, and two is it will only work on an Android device. If you have an iOS device, it will not pass a signal through. Instead, your iOS device's microphone will take over. So like I said, only Android will support the pass-through and not iOS in particular. And overall, on a sound front, it is clean, it is well defined enough. It doesn't need to be any more analytical than it is. It is genuinely enjoyable for all sorts of music. I've blown through all different genres of music with this, be it EDM or jazz, blues, old school stuff from the 50s, 60s, any rock music from the 80s and 90s and so on, and it's handled it terrifically well. In fact, all the IEMs I've paired it with they've sounded like they've been in their own skin. It doesn't sound like this has added too much color to their overall performance. So overall, for the price, I'd say it's pretty damn good. Now, of course, if you're planning on getting into the audiophile hobby and you're not too sure about it, I'd say this is a very good starting DAC amp to go for because it's affordable. And one thing to know for sure is if you have been plugging your headphones or IEMs or earphones into your computer and you felt that they're not sounding good enough, chances are the biggest bottleneck is the hardware in your computer, your phone, or whatever gadget you're listening to. So this is a terrific way to bypass that hardware completely. You can plug it into your computer, whether it's got a USB-C or a USB-A, because it does come with that adapter, and bypassing that hardware will lead you to discovering what your next bottleneck is. So if it is your IEMs, you'll know you need to upgrade those IEMs, but this is a good way to bypass not very good hardware and listen to better clarity with your music. So considering how this performs and everything put together with its build, what it's capable of doing, I'd say this is super value for money. So if you are planning to buy this right now, at the time of recording this video, you can pick this up from the Headphone Zone website, and the ddHi-Fi DAC has an MRP of 2,999. But you can get this for 1,999, which I'd say is super value for money. And of course, if you do want to pick up that carry case, it has an MRP of 599 rupees, but you can get it at a selling price right now at 499. And I'd say both of these are terrific to go for because, in fact, that I genuinely like that case. I've stopped using the Truth Ear Hola case and I've just put the Truth Ears in this case along with the DAC, and it fits very comfortably. It's not stuffed, it's not crammed, and the hard shell does protect both the DAC amp and the Truth Ear Hola as well. So of course, I'd say both of these are terrific value for money. You can definitely pick these up if you do want to get into the hobby, or even if you just want another hardier little DAC portable amp. If you want to take it out, if you have other DAC amps at home and you want something portable, this makes good sense because of how rugged it is. It is genuinely really, it's quite tough. It's not going to give up easily. I think even if it gets pulled, chances are perhaps your IEM cable will pack up before this does, because it's really locked in there really tight. The way they've built it is genuinely, you can tell that they've put in a lot of effort towards making this as robust as it is. So I hope you found this video helpful and informative, and I hope I've helped you make some sort of purchase decision. If you would like to help support this channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning into Paul's POV for some sound advice.